model. One of the best responses to the article that I read was by Megan McArdle, who's a political journalist in Washington, D.C., who I've been reading for a long time. She's really, really great, really sharp. But she reflected on the feminization thesis and thought, well, certainly there's really a lot of validity there. But the part that I liked was her anecdote of her own career in media. She said, that she's been to policy dinners in D.C. where journalists and practitioners get together. And she's been to some all-female ones, deliberately all-female, to help the ladies advance their careers. And she says the atmosphere is so different because at those all-female dinners, when you ask somebody a question, you do that with the purpose of getting an answer and hearing what it is. If you're at a mixed policy dinner where men are present, you ask a question to prove that you're smarter than the person you're asking the question of. And so it is clear.
Well, not too much old men now. Not too much old men now. Go ahead.
Really true that I do not mean to lionize or paint a rosy picture of masculine modes of interaction. They are certainly not always oriented towards the pursuit of truth.
That's
but
fair.
Our institutions have evolved to turn male stupidity and competitiveness and silliness. I have 3 boys. I deal with it a lot.
Yes.
To turn that into, to channel that towards the pursuit of truth. So even if you are at one of the mixed policy dinners that Megan McArdle was talking about, and it's a lot of people trying to show that they're smarter than the other people at the end of the table, everybody else in the room learns a lot. The fact that you're trying to do that kind of one-upsmanship tends to lead to a good conversation and to advance. Certainly with greater celerity than the all-female policy dinners, which I have also been at, which do tend to move really slow because there's a lot of compliments and telling each other how great they are. But nothing against it. I love compliments, but it does take up a lot of time.
And well, moving on.
No, hold on. Sorry to interrupt. But can we come back to this point about media? Because the broadcast scene, I just genuinely don't think, with all respect to our fellow YouTubers and podcasters, has created an environment that is more focused on the pursuit of truth. And that, to me, is kind of the big issue with the argument you're making. Do you have any more to say on that aspect of it?
I'm not sure that the purpose of a podcast is always just the pursuit of truth, right? At a certain level, it's also about entertainment. It's also about growing your audience. I've worked at a lot of publications where you have meetings and sit down and ask basic questions like, what is our purpose? And truth is a part of it, and one that you always want to keep front and center, but I'm not sure it's the only thing. But I guess my real response is that there are definitely masculine modes of failure as well. So it is very possible for institutions to fail in distinctively masculine ways that they would not have failed if there had been more ladies in the room. But when I look at the world around me today, I don't see a lot of institutions failing in that way. I do see a lot of institutions failing in distinctly feminine ways.
And would you say?
I think it's just truth. For a lot of men, when you fail at something and when you're not good at it, then people are you're gonna hear about it. It's no way that you're gonna get away from that. You're gonna hear about what you're doing wrong, how long you've been doing it wrong. They're gonna clock you coming. Well, I saw you doing it wrong, and I just didn't say nothing. What? And you have to hear about all that. From the men in your life, the women in your life, almost quite literally anybody. But like she said, women are giving a lot of compliments, which, is not inherently a bad thing. It's just, how are you going to learn? If somebody doesn't wake you up and say, hey, you're behind, you need to be doing X, Y, and Z. When a man fails, it's quite clear or he's failing, it's quite clear that he's not doing a great job, and there needs to be a change. I'm just reading now that Mike Tomlin is stepping down as the Steelers head coach after 19 seasons, even though they just said, oh, well, he's never had a losing season, yada, yada, yada. But they're looking for, hey, it's great that you won a Super Bowl, but we want to win some more, and we haven't really been as good as we've been. We're kind of floating around mediocrity. Same goes for my Cowboys. Had some great years, but once again, floating around mediocrity. There needs to be a huge change. People are seeing that, and they're like, man, you need to get a move on, right? But for a lot of these modern women out here, that's not really something that's talked about. A lot of times it's, you did great, and, don't worry about failure. You're doing fantastic, and it's hard enough being a woman. Well, now we're seeing and we're listening to what she says, and we're seeing, well, it's...
All right. So my question to you is, what is your purpose? What is the overall purpose for a man? What is the overall purpose for a woman? What is the overall purpose for a child? What is the overall purpose for a God? What is the overall purpose? Add the ethnicity. When you get to the nitty gritty of it, we all need purpose. Otherwise, things go out of whack. If that makes sense. If things are not placed in purpose, things will be destroyed. Things will fall apart. Purpose is placed upon us for a reason. So we can know how to be positioned and aligned with what we got to do. It's like a job. If someone says, "Oh, what's your purpose?" and they say, "Well, I put the peanut butter on the jelly sandwich and make peanut butter and jelly." That's their thing. Now, if the peanut butter and jelly person don't come to work that day, and it's gonna mess up the conveyor belt. That's what I'm trying to say. In life, in the universal life, we all have a thing. And some people want to do some other thing because they're not content with their own thing. And it messes up the conveyor belt of life. And then people start talking about, well, I want to look like Did you even do your own thing in the first place? You know what I'm saying? Did you focus your time and do your thing that you were supposed to be doing? What is your purpose as a woman? What is your purpose as a man? What is your purpose as a person? If you don't like the answer, change it, but make it be righteous. Make it be in such a way that benefits the hierarchy of life. There's a lot of things that we as a people probably should be judgmental about, ashamed about, and just disappointed about. But we can change that. We can change that if we truly just lock in and zone in on the right questions and really take in and dissect the answers that we get from posing the right questions. This world will never change if we don't acknowledge what is true and what is false about the world. Otherwise, we'll be in here for another 100 years in purgatory, asking God the same questions. Why can't he didn't told y'all that 2 generations ago? What are we going to do now? What are we going to do now is the question. Anyways, let me go. I've invested too much time into this YouTube, and I need to go back to my real world. Talk to y'all soon.